Who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was.
Ollie Oxen.
I just told you. That's who I think I am.
Alright, so most of the parts for the water cooling build are here, and I'm gonna unbox them and show you what we got. Now, I ordered all of these parts from Titanrig.com. I do have 1 or 2 pieces from Amazon because they were either out of stock on Titanrig or I couldn't find it, but all in all, Titanrig is my go-to place for custom wiring, custom power supply cables, and as of now, custom water cooling. They're not sponsoring this, just a preference. Let's get into it. 1013 soft tubing. I'm gonna be using this for the drain port, and there's also a top loop from the top to the front radiator that may not accept a bend really well, so we're going to use this to connect those two as well. We have our foldable filling bottle from EK. This was cheaper than the static bottle, and it was able to hold a little bit more fluid, so I got this instead. Thought it was kind of cool. Bits power, what do we get here? This is our chamfer tool. Lets us make sure we get some clean edges on our acrylic tubing so that we don't cut our O-rings. That would be bad. This is a soft tube fitting for the drain port that we got. May end up needing another one, but we'll find out. We got our folding tool. This is XSPC. Don't really know how well this is gonna go, simply because it'll tell me where the 90-degree angles are, but it won't stop me from being able to like bend it too far or not. So this will help, but I'm still gonna have to be keeping an eye on it. But I think this will make it a little bit easier. This is the bending silicone. When we bend the tube, put this in there while we hold it over the heat source so that the tube, remains in its shape until we bend it. This actually might be the wrong size. Wouldn't you know it? It's too big. We're gonna have to fix that. We have our 12 mil acrylic tubing. The reason I chose 12 mil tubing is those are the only size fittings that were available for the amount of fittings that I needed. And rounding out the accessories is our leak tester from EK. Basically, this is a glorified bike pump. You stick it into the loop after you have everything completed. So instead of doing a water test where you have to fill the loop up, you can use this to pressurize the loop with air. And over time, if the air starts to decrease, you know that there's a slow leak. If it stays consistent over a specified period of time, pretty much know that your leak is airtight and ready to be filled. Kind of saves time on the filling part, because I really only want to fill this thing once. This is one of the straight fittings from Phanteks. They come in this cool little box. Yeah, I ended up ordering 14 of the straight fittings, and in the bigger boxes you'll see that I got a 90-degree rotary fitting. These are the only fittings that they had in stock for all of the bends that I needed. These are the ones that I went with, but I like the fact that the case is Phanteks, the fittings are Phanteks. I try to stay within the same brand as much as possible. I also have a 45-degree male to female rotary fitting for the front radiator to go into the top radiator, and I also have a soft tube fitting because drain port, and I have a soft tube straight fitting. Rounding out the fittings, end caps from Alphacool. Most of the end caps that come stock with the components that we bought, they had nickel finishes. True enough, the build is kind of black and white, but I want it to be more black than white, and nickel has more of a light finish. So that's why we bought extra end caps. We may end up not needing as many as we bought. And last but not least, we got a drain valve from EK. This is a female to female 1/4 inch ball valve. I still have to design it, but that's going to be at the end of the soft tube, that if I ever need to drain the loop again or do anything to it, just turn the knob, put it in a hole instead of having to lift the system up and do all of this other stuff. Just make it as simple and user friendly as possible. I also have this biocide from Mayhem. It's supposed to prevent algae or any type of bacteria from growing. Now, I'm really only going to use distilled water in my loop, but just in case, I don't think this will hurt. And now we get to the hardware. The distro plate from Phanteks. This is going to go on the rear exhaust panel. It fits up to a 140 mil fan, but I also have Corsair LED strips running on the inside lip of the case, and if I have a 140 mil fan, that doesn't leave enough space for the strip to sit. So we're going to use the 120 distro block. It's going to make the pipe routing a lot cleaner, and it's a lot less bends that I'd have to do if I didn't have it. This is our backplate for our water block. I've watched so many videos where people have leaks, and the only thing that saved their components was the fact that they had a backplate on the GPU. Typically, I would choose to not do it, but if given the choice and if I have the ability, I want to make sure that everything is protected as possible. For our radiators, we're going to be using 6 Vardar fans from EK. These are static pressure fans that go up to 3000 RPM. It creates, I don't want to say it creates better airflow than strictly airflow fans, because that sounds redundant. These are better than just regular Corsair LL fans on a rad. I might have to do some testing to back that up. They're not RGB, they're just straight black fans. They also say that the noise level only hits 42 decibels at 100% speed. That's pretty quiet. Actually, in my build right now, I have 6 140 mil Noctua Chromax fans in there, and they are dead silent under any situation. So hopefully these stack up to the standard that I'm used to with Chromax. This is our EK Quantum Vector water block for our Strix 3070. This is the all black version. I believe there's RGB, integrated RGB, copper cold plate, keeps the design really low profile for the GPU. I am a little sad because I love the way that the Strix 30 series cards look. It's super aggressive, but I think the overall appearance of the build, I think it's gonna be worth it. We have our EK Quantum Velocity water block. This is also the black version, very subtle. I think it's gonna have a really kind of classy look. No flashy lights. It matches the water block, which is again important. I want to keep as many parts as I can in the same manufacturing family. They share a lot of the same design language, so it ends up being a more cohesive look. And rounding out our loop hardware is the Quantum Kinetic D5 pump res combo. It has integrated RGB, it's a D5 pump, and it's got mounting hardware. I'm going to end up mounting it on the interior of the case, so the fact that I can pretty much decide where I want to put it, it's a nice little added bonus. I'll know more about it once I start using it, but I think that'll be fun. And for our radiators, we're going to be using 2 EK-CoolStream SE360 mil rads. These are the slim radiators, which I don't know if they're really slim per se, because they're about the same size as my standard AIO radiators. So I don't know if that's just marketing or not. Hopefully that'll give me enough space between the top and the front mounted radiators that the loop that I have on paper is going to be able to be done in reality. Hopefully be able to be done in reality. If you looked at my water cooling loop plan, you'll notice that there was some oversights as far as gauging the length of the top radiator and the front radiator. So we'll see once we actually start building if that holds up. And of course we have our PSU connectors for our custom cables. And for those, round out our build, the theme is basically going to be dark color, but with the cables you'll see that these have a little bit of variance. I believe this is called Blackest-Black, the blackety-black, the blackest of the black. This is like a carbon fiber or carbon black. They infuse some of their darker grays into the thread of the black, so that when these two are sitting next to each other, they make a slight variance. I don't know the pattern that I'm going to use for the cables yet, but those will definitely be the base. If I want to get fancy, I also have other cables that kind of stock that I have left over from other builds, but they fit in the same color scheme. So I may freak some cables in it, you know, throw a little white in there and just kind of make it pop. The cabling part is the fun because I never really know what it is until I start. We'll see. Yeah, that's pretty much all of the stuff we're going to be using for build. I do have one more piece coming. It is a temperature sensor fitting, and I might throw some footage in here by the time that you see it. What that does is it takes temperature reading directly from the water temperature of the loop rather than the temperature of the CPU. And after that, we'll start the build process. I appreciate you checking out everything that we got going so far. I'm excited, still nervous, but we're gonna do the best that we can. That's all that we ever do here, is having fun and just doing it, man. If you made it this far, leave a hashtag AO in the comments so I know that you were here. If you liked the video, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We got a lot more cool stuff coming. First time water cooling build. It's gonna be awesome. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one, man. All right, y'all. Peace. We gonna do it again? I think so.
Who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was.
Ollie Oxen.
I just told you. That's who I think I am.